Hello, how are you today? This is Matthew from Love Buddy. Today we have a LoveCast. It's at Sunday morning here, Saturday night in New York, 10 p.m., 10 a.m. on Sunday morning here in the Philippines, which is also China time. We're GMT or UTC, Universal Time, plus 8 hours. And let's see. Today we're going to talk about an important topic, and that is why is love so important? And usually the topic for today is going to be something like 30, 45 minutes. We have daily love tips, and the daily love tips are to help you get more love in your life. They're practical suggestions that can help you out, help you get more love in your life. And so now I want to talk about this idea about why love, what's the big deal about love? Well, the reason why love is such a big deal is because we have big problems in the world right now, and love is the solution to those problems. Now we're going to look at some of the key problems that are happening, and we'll examine why it is that love is the solution and that everything else that people are trying and that people are doing is not working, and why it's not working, and why love can work. Love is the solution, and it's better than any other thing that anybody's ever thought of before. I know it sounds kind of extreme, but it's the honest truth, and it's really simple to see if you think about it and if you look at it. And it sounds kind of nebulous because people don't really know what love is, and they think maybe it's hugging, or maybe it's just being weak and saying yes to everything. But it's not. Love is different than that. So one of the key things about why love is a big deal is we look at poverty, for example. Now, when we understand love and we understand the qualities of love, we can see that compassion is one of the key qualities of love. Out of about 70, 71 that we have right now, I think we've got about 71 qualities for love that we've defined and we've explained, and comes in a free ebook. If you want to download that, the links are here. Compassion is one of the key qualities of love. It involves caring about other people, being sensitive to other people and their needs. Now, people get caught up in their own problems, but a lot of times their own problems are just nowhere near as important as the people dying around the world. And we've got thousands of children that die every day. Basically, this is in sub-Saharan Africa, where they don't get clean water. They have to walk miles every day just to get some dirty water to use for cooking or cleaning or drinking. They drink that water. The water's got parasites in it. They get diarrhea. They die from that because they don't have the simplest medicines. They don't have 50 cents worth of medicine to help treat the diarrhea. So these babies, people under 5 years old, are dying by the thousands. This is true neglect. It's systematic neglect. Now, people rave about systematic racism, which exists. And sometimes people are shot and killed for traffic stops because of that. People by the thousands are dying because of the systematic negligence, lack of compassion, and the abandonment of your common everyday person who's going out and shopping, buying hundreds, thousands of dollars, sometimes for a handbag. Because we live in a system where people aren't learning, people aren't teaching, people aren't conscious, people aren't aware, and we don't have a culture that promotes love, being compassionate, caring about other people. So poverty is rampant. I live in the Philippines right now. It's ridiculous how much poverty there is and how little the concept of community, people don't know. Nobody's taught them. How are they going to know? Very few people look into this. People are just trying to survive. And the people with the money, they have an attitude about, hey, I can't give it all away. They don't care. They're not generous. In general, in Philippines, the culture is not a generous culture where people are helping out. They look to the government to do that. They look to government programs. Where does the government get its money? Comes from people, but the people that are in poverty are always looking for a handout. The people that are rich, we were living in an apartment owned by someone she's just trying to build her own financial empire. She doesn't care about anybody else, and she doesn't really help other people at all. She just wants to make money. She complains about the neighborhood kids, and this is really pretty typical of what's going on here. So cultures that have no compassion, the poverty gets really bad. Now look at the United States, which was where I was born, where I grew up. People living under freeways, people getting thrown out of homes. The home is vacant. There's nobody living there, but we got plenty of people living under freeways, and we've got more homes that are vacant, that are just sitting there, than there are people that are homeless. Now, does that make sense? If you understand compassion, if you believe in love, it doesn't really make any sense at all. But it lets you know that there's a lack of compassion there. There's not a culture of compassion. There's a real ignorance about what love is, and there's not a practice of love. And what rules the day? Money. Money rules the day, and ignorance and lack of presence of mind, lack of love consciousness. And when you look at the state of America, it's shameful. It's incredibly shameful, the decisions that people are making. And you see that in the immigration crisis right now. They're punishing people for immigrating. Instead of helping people that are fleeing from horrible conditions, the government, which is supported and elected supposedly by the people, we've got so many people that are so complacent. And love is not complacent. Love acts. Love takes action. Love holds people accountable. And love nurtures and love supports other people. It's amazing the love consciousness is so just incredibly low. And if people understood what love is, and if they've committed to practicing love and learning love, it takes time. It takes time to learn. I'm in that process. There are people that are much better lovers than I am. And there are people that aren't even love conscious at all. And I'm just another bloke out there, just another average Joe who's trying to learn how to love. And I'm sharing it on this, on the internet. I'm sharing my trials and tribulations and my learning, my experiences. Okay. Poverty, there's no compassion, there's no action. People are not active. Oppressed peoples, how about Yemen? How many thousand children have died so far from starvation alone in Yemen? It's an absolute incredible crisis. Most Americans don't know much about it at all, but they're contributing to it because America's greatest allies are bombing civilian population. Is war really the answer? Is dropping bombs on people's heads the answer? Is signing up and believing this ridiculous, silly, absolute lie about spreading democracy? Are you kidding me? You're killing people. That's all you're doing. You're not spreading any democracy. Look at Vietnam. Look at the results over there. It's a communist country. You thought strafing huts full of women and children with napalm was going to help something, and you still didn't learn that, and you want to sign up and be part of that? Look, it should have been the first clue to you to when you join an organization and you can't even quit, AWOL, you get court-martialed, you get thrown in jail for wanting to leave because you realize how ridiculous what they're doing is, how you're a hired murderer and that's all? You want to build bridges, get in the construction business. You want to murder innocent people, join the military because they're good at it. And we got millions and millions of people that are dead as proof for that, and a lot of lies to cover that up, and a lot of deception that says, oh, we're just spreading them out, oh, we're just doing that, we're trying to help. Baloney. That's an absolute lie. It has to do with power plays. It has to do with manipulation from other governments. It has to do with money. It has to do with stealing resources. I mean, look at Afghanistan. Okay. So look at the oppressed peoples in Palestine and what's going on there. Israeli snipers sitting up in their towers with the latest, greatest technology and the just top of the line training in how to murder people. These people are experts. That's what they do. They deceive and they murder. And they'll sit up there while people are out there, innocent people, unarmed, children, nurses, medics, and they're taking pot shots at them. They're blowing away their legs. Thousands of people getting murdered or maimed when they're out there peacefully demonstrating. I mean, what are they going to do? They're going to break down the wall and then they're going to seize Israel? No, that's absolutely, there's no threat at all. They are no threat. And what happens? The United States blocks every UN motion to condemn this kind of action. They've done it for years and years and years. Why? Because Americans are kind of unaware. They believe what they're told. They're told the total lies that somehow Palestine is a threat to the Israeli invasion and seizure and genocide. But that's what's happening. And states in the US have actually made it illegal to stop buying Israeli products. Is that the most ridiculous thing? You have to buy their stuff or you're going to go to jail. We're going to prosecute you for that. I mean, it's just so mind-boggling, the American people and what they're doing. I've traveled all over the US and I've traveled all over the world. And I just cannot believe the mentality. A lot of these people claim to be religious people. A lot of them claim to be Christians that are supporting genocide. I'm not making this up. I'm not taking sides. I have no dog in this race. I'm not Jewish and I'm not Palestinian and I'm not Israeli. I just have an objective viewpoint that most people don't have. I've been through enough religions and I've been through enough countries and cultures. I've been around enough that I've got an objective viewpoint. That comes from experience. It doesn't come from sitting in your house in Arkansas and watching Fox News. You don't get objective that way. Going to church on Sunday and memorizing Bible passages does not teach you what's going on in Palestine. But a huge part of America is doing that, and that's why we've got a lot of problems there. Corruption, there's no accountability, no integrity. Look at the corruption in the government. So look at the way the resources are being squandered. Look at the way the tax system works. You have absolutely no power over how much taxes the government takes from you. They steal your money. This is money that you earned. Why should they get it? What service are they providing? Well, one thing is a horribly corrupt and messed up entitlement and huge military. If you've looked at any of the charts, if you're aware at all of how much money the US wastes on military, if you want to control somebody, look. If you want to steal, if you want to murder, the money goes into the military. If you want to build communities, if you want to empower people in neighborhoods, Detroit's a mess. The money would go into that. The money would go into poverty. The money would go into building homes for people and setting up programs in communities so people can be active in a greenhouse. They can be active building. They can be doing things. But instead we have entitlement programs that give people free money for doing nothing. They just have to process the paperwork and wait in line to get their free check. There's nothing about that. What way is that to empower somebody, to help somebody to learn skills, to help somebody stand on their own 2 feet, to help somebody contribute to society, be proud of their lives? When you really look at it objectively, when you really study it, when you honestly really analyze the situation, it is absolutely ridiculous. And Americans are not holding their government accountable. And look at this division now, this political division over Donald Trump, the president, the sitting president right now. There are people at two ends of the scale, pretty much nobody in the middle almost. There are people who think he's an absolute idiot and use very vulgar and rude terms to describe him. And then there's people who say he's great. Look at the economy. Look at this, look at that. But the bottom line is this. Poverty is still horrible. The immigration situation is an absolute nightmare. The basic problems about empowering, enriching, nurturing the citizens of the country is not happening. It makes you wonder, are the people in charge, do they really care? Words of Michael Jackson, they don't really care about us. It's true. They care about themselves, they care about their plan. They've got their plans to invade other countries, to take over, take resources, take oil, fight, threaten. They want to invade Iran. Iran, compared to America, is 100% completely peaceful country. I know people that look at that, oh, how about Hezbollah? Well, if you look at Hezbollah compared to what the CIA has done, they're nothing. They're not a factor. They don't count at all. It's like a Palestinian kid throwing a rock at an Israeli tank. People that are liars and deceivers, manipulators of the truth, people that are deceptive, that have an agenda to manipulate the truth and brainwash you into thinking that they're the victim, make up stories like this. They say Palestinian kids with rocks are really a threat to the tanks and the F-35s, and the white phosphorus that Israel's dropping on the schoolyard, bombing hospitals. But these people are not a threat. Iran is not any threat. Israel's got a couple hundred nuclear weapons. Iran doesn't have any at all, and Iran is a threat, and they need to be invaded. Who is Iran committing genocide against right now? Nobody. In fact, Jews live there happily. They don't want to leave. The Israeli leadership has offered the Jews that live in Iran to come back to Israel. Some ridiculous concept called right of return. Is it right of return? I have the right to go back to France because I got French blood? Kick people out of their homes? Because the French people need their own blah, blah, whatever? Baloney. I live where I live. I don't even live where I was born. I can live where I want to live. I don't need to go back and kick somebody out of their homes. But this idea about throwing people out, hiding your nuclear weapons, lying about it, not being accountable for anything, and you're still the victim, it's the most ridiculous concept I've ever heard in my life. And love stands up for the oppressed. Love holds people accountable. Love speaks the truth. Love cannot be cowardly and say, oh, don't make waves. No. Love, you don't throw yourself in front of a train, throw yourself under the bus. Love doesn't do that. But love is not cowardly. Love stands up for what is right. Love fights for what is right. And love defends innocent victims that are being oppressed by evil bullies. And there's a lot of that going on in the world. And that's why love is lacking. And then we have the result of these problems like Yemen and Palestine. So there's no accountability, no integrity in your average person because they don't understand accountability. They don't understand about holding people accountable. Hey, get your hands off her. Hey, you did this. You've got to admit this. You've got to make this right. Not about punishment. It's about making something right. It's about being held culpable. It's about people knowing that's what you did and watching out for you because that's the kind of person that you are. And great, good for you if you can rehabilitate yourself. But we're watching you for what you did, and we're not keeping secrets for you about what you did. This isn't any George Bush behind closed doors 9/11 investigation where you can't even write down what he said. No press allowed. No coverage. Can you see how the U.S. government and all of its secret agencies that you're paying for with your tax dollars have absolutely no accountability because of the weakness of the American public? They put them in power and they pay them and they do nothing about it when innocent people are killed. People commit suicide by shooting themselves in the back 10 times. I mean, come on. Okay. Another way that people can be manipulated, another way that people throw love in the garbage and pick up something else, is through these tribal issues, tribal problems. Now, this causes people to divert. If you're in a cult, if you're in some religious cult, and very easy definition for cult in this context right now, if you're giving your love, attention, money to some religious leader, some church group, anything but people in your neighborhood and people who need help around the world, if it's going toward your dogma, to build your tribe bigger, to build your dogma so people can teach about your holy book or whatever, that's a cult. Because what it's doing is it's diverting your love away from people that need it and putting it into your cult so your cult can build more buildings, print more books, and brainwash more people. But it's not going towards the people that need help. It's going towards that dogma, this empire that you're building. Catholic Church, the Mormon Church, are the biggest real estate holders in the world. You want to buy real estate or you want to help somebody? You want to print holy books or you want to help somebody? If you're printing holy books, if you're going and meeting, and I've been to dozens of evangelical meetings because I wanted to see what my family was so excited about. They never talked once about any community project, but they did go on missions to brainwash the Muslims in the Philippines, in the southern part of the Philippines, into being evangelicals so they can save them with the dogma instead of helping them get jobs, helping them become self-sufficient, doing some real community work. They're doing a brainwashing work. I went to their meetings, I listened to every word they said, I watched everything they do. They never had any programs at all. They do like a Thanksgiving dinner, one meal a year. People can't survive on one meal a year. They go down, they put people on a bus, token group of people, of thousands and thousands of people living in poverty and getting shot at every day. Take them to some room, preach their dogma to them, give them one meal, put them on the bus, send them back. Is that community? Is that empowerment? Is that nurturing? No, that's dogma, that's brainwashing, and that's a cult. Okay? So if you really want to help people, you're not going to focus on what your cult tells you to do. You're going to think, what empowers me? How do I have a job? How do I earn money? How do I stand on my own 2 feet? How do I get nurturing? That's what everybody needs. That's what love is about. Love isn't about being part of a cult and doing these ridiculous behaviors that have nothing to do with helping people. But you spend how many hours a week or a month praying to your God that if there is that God there, I'm not going to say no because I don't know. But if that God exists, I would guess the only God I want to worship is the one that's not going to waste my time talking to that God. Yes, inner reflection, sure. But most of my time I'm going to spend trying to help other people. Making this world a better place because this world needs it. This world needs more love. There's cults, religious cults, all kinds of cults. There's politics. People are dividing. People are fighting. You should see on Facebook, I've got 5,000 friends almost on Facebook. And these people are just hating each other because they believe in Bernie or they believe in Trump or they believe in this or that. So they're fighting over that, and that's their salvation. Have you ever been aware of what's in the news and what the U.S. government is doing, no matter who's in charge, Democrat or Republican? Let's take the perfect candidate that you think is going to be perfect, that's going to solve all these problems. Do you think that him going in there by himself is going to, or her by herself, is going to solve the problems? No, because everyone around, including influence from other countries, whether you're going to blame Russia or you're going to blame Israel or whatever country you're going to say has an influence over American politics, you think all of those people are going to listen to what the president says, whoever that newly elected president is? No matter, they can't even get elected. That's how strong, that's how powerful the control is by the corporations, by other governments, by infiltrators. Forget it. It's got to be grassroots. So if you want to fight with your neighbor because they're a Democrat and you're a Republican or vice versa. Good luck. See where that's going to get you. It's going to get you where we are right now. Instead, you better shake hands with your neighbor and you better say, we're here for the same things. We want happy families. We want a safe environment. We want to nurture people. We want people to be empowered. Instead of people sitting on the couch eating Cheetos and watching cartoons all day, I want them to be productive in the neighborhood, productive in the community. That's why the infrastructure of America sucks. I mean, you should see the way it is in Japan, how clean the place is, how people work hard. You should see China and their train network and the infrastructure that they're building. It's absolutely mind-blowing. And then you look at America and the bus stations and the Amtrak rail, and they can't even build a fast train network. It's an absolute joke. All you've got to do is get off your couch and travel and see what other countries are doing. And then you wonder why we've got people on unemployment, why we've got people on welfare sitting around. These are able-bodied people that can contribute, that want to contribute, but the way things are set up, they're not able to. They can't find a way. There's nothing being offered to them. There's no leadership. There's no system for that. Gender. Look at this whole huge, ridiculous thing about transgender and bathrooms and all this other stuff, all this attention on how somebody identifies. I was born as a man, but I want to be a woman. I was born as a woman. I want to be a... Who cares? Wear a dress if you want. Shave your legs, you know. Cut your hair short if you're a woman and, you know, dress with a, you know, the lumberjack outfit so you look masculine. I don't care. Beautiful. That's great. Or any other kind of identification you want to have. Any other kind of a clothing or grooming or not that you want to wear. Go for it. It's fantastic. Actualize as yourself what you feel in your heart. And if that is changing your gender or being bisexual or whatever that is, I don't care. Who's going to care except the people that want to have sex with you? Whose business is it? Okay, you're whatever gender. Does that mean that you find me attractive because I find you attractive? Then it might be relevant, right? It might matter. But when you're filling out a form, what does the person, the clerk, want to know, want to have sex with you? No, none of your freaking business. What does it matter? Race too, for that matter. Religion too, for that matter. You know, why do you got to fill out what race you are? So these things divide us, and people freaking out, usually religious fanatics, in their own ignorance about what love is about, they make a big deal about what you can do, what you can't do. They kill people that are gay. Wow. The only reason I care if anybody's gay or not is if I want to have sex with them, because that's a sexual choice. I care whether or not they eat pork. If they're a Muslim or they're a Jew or there's somebody else who doesn't eat pork or they're a Hindu that doesn't eat beef. If we're going to go out to eat, okay, we know not to go get some pork ribs because this guy is not a pork eater. We don't go to the bar because this person doesn't drink alcohol. But I don't care what you eat, what you drink, and what you have sex, who you have sex with, unless we're going to engage in those activities together. But people let this divide, and people get just really extreme. They get really extreme about this. Love doesn't do that. Love doesn't care about that. Love is respectful. Okay, you know, you identify as this. You want to wear this. You like to have sex like that. None of my business. I love you and respect you as a human being. And I interact with you about what business we have together. Are we working together in an office? Are we helping out together in the community? Did we meet in a coffee shop so we could talk about building a library in the neighborhood or whatever, you know? It's what you and I are interacting on that matters, not some other arbitrary thing that's a big deal. I don't care what God you worship, as long as you love and respect the people in your neighborhood, the people around you, the people in your community. None of that matters to me. You could be a Satanist. You know, Satan, that's a perfect example. People freak out because of the phrase Satanist. But I know people that really claim to worship God, but they're worse than what you might imagine a Satanist to be. Because they don't have love, they don't have compassion, they don't have respect. They've just got their dogma. And they're closing doors and they're putting up walls to anybody who's not in their cult. So the gender thing, major division over that. None of my business, I don't care. Look at abortion. People are going out there having abortion for fun? No. It's a horrible thing to lose a child. It's a horrible thing to have an infant die. You know, women go into depression over that horribly if their baby dies. Women go into depression horribly if they have an abortion. Abortion is kind of like an amputation, you know. You're losing part of you. You don't do it because you want to. It's a horrible thing. Don't let that divide people. How do we cut back on abortion? Do we murder the doctors that perform abortions? Do we picket? Do we show pictures of fetuses? Or do we adopt kids? Do we educate? Do we help people understand sex and how that works and how people get pregnant? You know, a lot of people get pregnant around the world. They don't really understand how sex works. They don't really understand how, you know, fertilization of the ovum, you know, how the egg gets fertilized. They don't understand that process very well. So they don't understand how their sexual activity can bring about a pregnancy. And suddenly the girl's missing her periods and then they find out she's pregnant. So a big part of the world doesn't know how that works. And kids, young people, they don't know how that works. And people that have sex compulsively or irresponsibly, or they're high or they're on drugs or whatever, they're not really thinking about what they're doing. They're not really being careful. Maybe they use a defective condom. Who knows? There's a million reasons how somebody can get pregnant. Instead of the condemnation and the punishment, if we were to be compassionate, supportive of people so that we can empower them. So if they want to have a baby, they can have a baby, they can take care of the baby. If they don't want to have a baby, they're not going to have the baby. We can empower people to cut back on abortions, but I see very little of that in the world. I see a whole lot of division, condemnation, a whole lot of hate coming from self-righteous religious fanatics that say, you're killing a baby. You know, well, what are you doing? You're just hating. And that's not a solution. Let's divert our energy into empowering these people so they don't get pregnant in the first place, so they can make the right choices. And if you're going to hate them so much for killing their baby, then you take care of that baby. You love that baby so much, you take care of that baby, then you adopt that baby. I never met anybody who hates the abortion so much and also adopts the babies. They exist, they're out there. But 99% or more, they don't contribute to the solution. They're self-righteous, judgmental haters and just condemn people. They're not bringing about a solution. This divides us. Focus on supporting, focus on empowering, focus on nurturing each other. Guns, look at how guns can be such a division. We hate to see it when a kid goes in, he's high on some drug prescribed by the extremely corrupt pharmaceutical industry and the doctors that prescribe these drugs that are supposed to be there for depression, or a kid's got ADD or whatever you're saying the kid's got. Then they shoot up the school. They go to school with a machine gun and blow away, or they go to work, or they go to a mall or whatever, happens really a lot in America. People fight over guns. They see that, they say, okay, let's stop all the guns. Me, personally, I'm kind of afraid of guns, to be honest with you. I've shot guns before for fun, target practice, things like that. Handguns and rifles with a scope and things like that. Been hunting before, didn't kill anything because I'm a lousy shot and don't really know, I'm not really into it. Guns kind of scare me. So I have some experience with guns, but they kind of scare me. That's my own personal experience. I'm not going to project that on everybody else. But people let this topic of guns, people let this situation with the guns divide people and have these big fights over it. Okay, let's work together. Whether you're driving a car, riding a bicycle, carrying a gun, using a power mower or power edger, all of these things can kill. Be responsible. Hold each other accountable. Look, you were driving in the neighborhood last night like it's on a drag strip, and my son was out there on his tricycle, and you almost hit him. Now we got to deal with this situation. So we hold each other accountable. Yep. That's something that's not a simple thing, and we got to learn how to do that. We have such little skill about dealing with each other, communicating with each other, working together, cooperating, and making the community a wonderful place to live. Throwing our garbage on the streets and shooting each other and making a mess and disrespecting each other and not really doing anything to empower each other, to contribute, to nurture, and to build a community. Especially the people that are well-to-do, especially the people that have high salaries. They isolate. In general, 90% or more don't do absolutely nothing to contribute to the community. I was part of a Rotary Club in Chicago. Very religious, very Christian group. Everything they did was centered around their evangelical dogma. I came in with a community project. They didn't like me because I was not part of their tribe. They didn't support what I was doing at all. They wanted me to support their projects, but they wouldn't even talk to me about my project. They get together and drink. They got together and they did silly fundraisers that didn't raise much money for much of anything worthwhile. It's a social club. But there wasn't really any talk about really making any difference in people's lives in any significant way. They isolated themselves. They lived in million-dollar houses. They're doctors and lawyers and retired people with a lot of money, and they're isolated. And just a few miles away, there are these neighborhoods full, horrible poverty going on. And it's going to go on that way forever if you continue to do the things that they were doing. And have a bake sale, raise a couple $100, but they were really interacting with anybody who was really hurting. And these people that are in these neighborhoods that are shooting each other up, getting addicted to drugs or alcohol, they become hopeless because they know these people that have the resources don't care about them, aren't willing to lift a finger. And you know what's worse than doing nothing is doing something and saying that you're contributing. That's the height of hypocrisy. Saying that you're doing something. Oh yeah, we did a bake sale to help out this and that. We bought some uniforms for the Little League or whatever. What? It's obvious to see how worthless that effort is. It's just grandstanding, It's just trying to make yourself feel good. I know a gentleman, his name is Paul, lives in Thailand. He's a Brit. Gets involved in a lot of that stuff. And one of the things that he said is, a lot of people, they got to feel good about what they're doing. Whether it's helping anybody or not. They kid themselves and say, yeah, I kicked in. I spend $8 a month to a kid in Africa can have shoes. $8 a month, and these guys are making thousands and thousands. It's just, how long does it take to write a check? A minute? Stuff it in an envelope, mail it off. Now we do it online, it takes 3 seconds to pay a bill like that. Or it's automatically taken from our account every month. And you're saying that you're doing something, you actually believe that you're doing something to help people out? That's not love. That's not compassion. That's not nurturing. That's not being present. That's not contributing. That's not empowering. That's a joke instead. Money, labor, slavery. Getting toward the end here, going to wrap things up pretty soon, but money is the linchpin that holds slavery in place. People say, oh, it's not the money system. It's, money isn't evil. It's how you use it. And money can do a lot of good things. Baloney. That's such baloney. If you look at the destruction that money does, if you look at the tool, that's like saying you could use, I don't know, that's not a good illustration, but the point that I want to make is that money, most of what it does, 99% of everything that money does is truly, truly evil. It's truly, truly destructive. The world bases its slavery on money. That's how we have slavery. That's how people have power and manipulate and control Congress. Release drugs that are poisoning and killing people, causing cancer. That's how Monsanto does what it does, based upon money and their lobbying efforts. What do you think lobbying is about? We'll give you money. If you do things the way we want to, doesn't matter, we're hurting people. Look at wars based on finances. Why do you think people are on the street? Money. Why do you think they won't give people a place to live? Money. Why do you think people are starving to death? Money. Why do you think thousands of kids die in sub-Saharan Africa every day from drinking dirty water? Right, money. Money is the root of all of these horrible situations. Money causes them. Why? Because people think about money more than they think about compassion. Nothing in the world costs anything. I know that sounds crazy, but everything's absolutely free, but it takes some work, it takes some effort. Money is an objective. It's not even paper and coins anymore. It's digits on a screen. How much does it cost to type in 1 million on your computer? It costs nothing. What does it cost to print money? They don't print money anymore. They just issue it digitally. There's absolutely no substance there. There's nothing at all. But you can use that as power to manipulate and control, deprive people of their home, deprive people of their jobs so they can't feed themselves anymore, deprive people of having the ability and the freedom to build their life, to get an education. Look at the student loans. You don't think money's a problem in the world? Come on. I could just go on and on for hours and hours and hours, all of the hell that's created in people's lives, all the deprivation that happens because of money. Money's not an issue until you don't have it. Money doesn't really matter. Money doesn't buy happiness. Doesn't matter how many houses you buy. Doesn't matter how many cars you have. I mean, people are collecting things. They collect houses, they collect cars. They go to restaurants with $1,000 dinners and things like that. I've known these people. You can see them on the news. They make videos about them. They make TV shows about these people blowing this money. Doesn't bring happiness. It's not helping anybody. What's it cost to feed these kids, What does it cost to save a life with a medicine when they're dying of dysentery? It's not about the money. It's about caring. And if people had compassion and love for each other in this world, money wouldn't be the issue. But people put that money up as a wall, as a block. I'm going to let you starve. You're not going to get that operation. You're not going to get that medicine that's going to save your life because you can't pay for it for whatever reason. And you know who's running the world right now? People who know how to manipulate money and power. These aren't the good-hearted people. One of the greatest things that came out of the Bible, and I don't know if it was, originated in the Bible from one of the writers or before that, the meek will inherit the earth. This is a beautiful concept. But the meek have to know love and understand love. And the majority of the people are the meek, and they're getting screwed right now. Because you know who runs things? People who know how to manipulate power, people who know how to manipulate money. These are the people who are running things. Why? Because the meek don't understand love and accountability and integrity and how you need to stand up and you have to say no. You get along with your neighbor, because the meek, the ratio is thousands to one of the tyrants. But the meek don't really understand love. They're not empowered. They're kind of like, okay, let him do it because he's got the guns, or let him do it because they're in charge. I don't want to make waves, all this other stuff. You got to stand up. You got to have the courage. You got to believe in love. And when you believe in love, you've got the confidence. You've got the inner power. You've got the sense of mission. You've got a meaningful life, and you know what's right and wrong, and you're ready to stand up for that. You're ready to stand up for love. But the meek don't know love. And I hope they can learn. And I hope this video and the other videos and the books I'm writing and the courses that I do can help the meek to understand love better and understand how that can empower them, help it to empower the people around them, and put an end to the tyranny and put a beginning to empowering the average person so that they can say, no, I don't accept that. I don't pay for that. I don't allow that. I don't do that. Homie, don't play that. Look at the war machine and look at the immigration. We already talked about these things. So if the average person, if the meek people in the world, I'm talking to you. If you're being complacent, you're not doing anything to contribute. You haven't woken up, you're not being present, you don't understand love. It's because of that, because most of us are being that way. We don't know what love is. Love empowers us. Love makes us stronger. Love helps us to work together and cooperate. Not to punish, not to murder, not to hate, but to say, no, you can't do that to me. No, you can't do that to my neighbor. No, I'm not going to sign up to murder somebody I don't know in another country. No, I'm not going to pay for your war machine. You can't have my money. No, I'm not going to stand by while you arrest my neighbor because he's smoking pot, throw him in jail for 100 years. No, I'm not going to contribute to that. No, I'm not going to hate someone because they don't have my political views, my religious views, because they're the wrong, different color skin than me, or because they identify identify their sexuality as something that I don't think that they should be identifying as. I mean, come on. You're letting these things divide us? No. I'm talking to you. I'm talking to the meek. It's not what love is. That's a kind of negligence. It's a kind of abandonment. It's a kind of hiding from how we need to be responsible to ourselves, to our community, to the people around us, to the people who need help, to the people that are dying, to the thousands of children that die every day. We're responsible. We need to do something about that. Each and every one of us needs to do what we can. This isn't a guilt trip, and this isn't about me saying, oh, I'm doing all the great stuff, you're doing nothing, now get off your butt. No, I don't mean that. I don't want to come across that way. I'm just saying, let's take a look at love, what love really is, how we can be compassionate towards people in need, how we can be nurturing to ourselves, how we can empower ourselves and empower others, and how we can work together as a community instead of dividing, instead of letting tyrants do any darn thing they want to do and charge us for it. Come on. I mean, let's not do that anymore, okay? All right, that's what this is about. We're 50 minutes in here. Today, right now, it's 10:49 a.m. on Sunday, the 7th of July, 2019. Thanks so much for watching. This has been a Love Buddy LoveCast. It's been a rant, more than I've ever done here, but that's what today called for. Share your views, share your ideas, share your rebuttals to what I said, or at least take a look at what we can all do to work together, how we can cooperate instead of divide and blame and point the finger at other people, how we can work together as the group of the meek, the army of the meek, that says no to tyranny and says yes to nurturing, to love, to compassion. I love you. Thanks so much for watching and listening. Take care. Hope your life is filled with love. Hope you're having a wonderful day. I'm going to be back 23 hours and 10 minutes from now on Monday morning, China time, Sunday night, 10 p.m., New York time, with a love tip, how to bring more love to your life. Practical tips. Okay, read the notes here that I left. If you want to get some more information, send me a message. All the best to you. Thank you so much. Thanks again. I do love you. See you next time. Bye-bye.